Want to welcome our new studio sponsor. If you were wondering why it smells like coffee in here, it's because we're now broadcasting from the Host Coffee studio.
Awesome.
I brought in some coffee plants and
I love it.
yeah, so got a little burro kind of carrying the coffee up and down the hills. Awesome.
And on their first day, John drops an S-bomb. Welcome, Host Coffee. Welcome.
Welcome, Host
I
Coffee.
love this tweet. This is the type of tweet that you kind of live for, or really just a message that you live for from a listener where he says, I'm supposed to run errands, but I'm sitting in the car glued to the radio until this segment ends. Those are the best. Luke says, if Jack and John speak to the team before the game, Nebraska wins by 2 touchdowns. Confirmed. Interview of the year.
Well, either that or their eyes glaze over. He's like, why are these old guys telling me about things like this? I don't understand.
Oh, that was good stuff. That was good stuff.
Husker D says, this brought the week alive for sure. The morning and afternoon shows already have ground to make up after this one. Like I said, I expected him to go on like a 3-minute rant, and then it took up the whole interview.
And look, not to rain on the parade, but that conversation does make me sad for multiple reasons. One is that I wasn't there for any of it. I missed out on all of it. So, I'm bummed for that reason. But the other is, I wish that there were those kind of stakes on Saturday. I wish that this game did mean that, because what Jack described about trying to go to sleep and you are unable to because you are so on edge, or your story about watching the game and you're just sitting there, not allowing yourself to even dream of winning because you don't want your heart to get broken again. That's why we do this, man. That's why we watch sports. That's why we invest so much time. And so when you don't get to do that anymore because your team is struggling, it sucks, because the pain of losing or the fear of losing, I love that stuff. Like, we talk about it every year when one of our teams is in the NFL playoffs, how miserable we are. But, man, I wouldn't trade that for not being miserable in January. I love that feeling of wake up on Monday and I know you're going to throw a little dart my way, and it just gets progressively worse for me. And by the time Sunday rolls around, or Saturdays in the case of college football, I am this ball of emotion and I can't handle it. And you guys got to have that once a year, every year growing up. And anyone,
guaranteed.
I mean, really, I would say
Thanksgiving was a great holiday, but you spent the whole day
you wanted the next
thinking
day.
of the next day, and realizing that I might be eating my last meal right now because I might not make it through tomorrow.
And so I think about people that are my age and maybe a little bit older, but it's like my generation and younger, and we just don't have that. And so, like Jack is in that sweet spot of an age, and you are too, of like getting to watch all of those years as either late teens or early adulthood, and it's just like, man, my generation doesn't have that. And so I hope that we get that someday.
Yeah.
I hope that somebody my age, or I hope really that people the age of Jack's kids, your kids, I hope that those youngsters get in a moment like that they can go to bed miserable because they just don't want to lose tomorrow for the right reasons, not because it would mean going 2-2.
Right.
It's like, I want to win the national championship. I hope we win tomorrow. I hope that they get that someday.
SC Raj says he is freaking triggered. I'm in tears. I also felt the same way about Charles Thompson's leg. Craig says, excuse me, Mr. Bishop, this is the FCC. We'd like to have a word with you.
There was somebody on the YouTube page that said they would happily donate to pay your fine. It didn't go out over the air. We're good. We're fine.
Terry said, you're correct. There was only one big game per year, and the Omaha World Herald would add to the buildup by comparing scores of common opponents all fall as we approach Thanksgiving. It was a 3-month pressure cooker that finally peaked on the last game of the year. Mm-hmm. And I wish I would have had this email before we signed off with Jack, because
he'd like it?
Aaron, no.
Oh.
It might set us off into an entirely different realm. Aaron says, as an OU fan, I can tell you the hate was mostly one way. We hate Texas, but always did respect Nebraska. As you mentioned, OU dominated in most of the matchups that mattered, so no need to hate. See, that's the reason to hate, you arrogant, spoiled, entitled.
Nick's on the dump button.
Okie. Give me a break. Don't tell me you didn't hate Nebraska when they were kicking your tail in When they were intentionally returning kickoffs to go up 73-21, don't tell me you didn't feel some hate. Thank you for the email, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it was.
One more. Christopher says, that segment by far in the history of the show was the best I've ever heard. I'm in my mid-50s, and the game of the century was what made me a Husker fan. I'm with John and Jack. Oklahoma was the living representation of pure evil. Amen to y'all.
Oh, I am so thankful I was only 4 months old in that game.
Oh, can you imagine the stress going into the game of the century?
I can't.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm telling you, because it was different. It was just different. That game was different.
Because, I mean, think about that.
55 million people watched that game. No Husker game has ever been seen by more people.
And there's only one other Nebraska-Oklahoma game where they were 1-2. I mean, it's in rarefied air for the reason you just mentioned, for the rankings themselves, and that it was the defending champs. It's hard to fathom what that would mean to
I
them.
can only imagine like a 13-year-old me if someone would have said, yeah, but Joe Blaha clipped on that punt return. I would have said, he should have taken his GD head off.
Zach wants to know, is John cutting a WWE promo right now? And then Greg and Lincoln quoting me, I hope your kids go to bed miserable. Sounds like something a cult leader would say.
Let's go to Kurt first before we go to break. Hi, Kurt. Thanks for waiting.
Kurt.
You're in the zone.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. Welcome to Oklahoma Love and Respect Week.
I need a little help from you guys. I don't know if I've just totally teetered to the irrational and negative. Nebraska played an okay game. They didn't play great, but, they kind of did what they were supposed to do. But the only plays that I can remember are when Britt tried to jump the route on the third down. And when I think it was Daniels, when his helmet came off twice, I about lost my mind, especially after the 15-yard penalty. I don't understand why these guys can't just strap up and keep their helmets on. So I'm to the point of and then obviously the muff punt where, it was a turnover on a punt return.
It was butt fumble, too.
Yeah. So I don't know if I just need help, and I have just totally geared towards the irrational, even when, we play above average and win, or I'm just going to be forever stuck in thinking of things that drive me absolutely nuts throughout a game.
Kurt, it's a really good point.
What a come down of a phone call back to Oklahoma.
but it does remind you where you're at right now, because in all reality, that game should have been like 42-3. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it should have been a much more impressive looking score, but it wasn't. And we find ourselves nitpicking these things, and rightfully so, and we'll do plenty of that as the show continues, if we don't get steered down in more Oklahoma hate.
Mm-hmm.
Because, unfortunately, that's where this program is right now, is you find yourself nitpicking the little things. We said coming into the season, man, Nebraska needs more big plays.
They're getting them.
They've had more big plays this year than they had all last year.
Yeah.
Remember when before the season it was, Adrian completed 70% of his passes, but they were all 5 yards or less. Now he's throwing the ball down the field, and he's got the best yards per attempt of his career.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gaudy, the numbers he's put up.
Yeah.
So, but yet you find yourself going, but you can't sustain it because they've got to sustain some drives and blah, blah, blah. So you're in this.
Career best 9.8 yards per pass, no interceptions yet. He has a fumble, but no interceptions.
No interceptions.
4 touchdowns, matches what he did last year. You mentioned the big plays. Yeah, it's strange.
But that's kind of where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And that's why you're hoping, maybe starting this Saturday, even with just a respectable appearance, forget the win, just to have a respectable game, that maybe you can start to turn that narrative around. But that's going to take some time, just like it took time for people to change their viewpoint from coming off the glory days and having this eternal optimism of, they'll turn it around. They'll turn it around. Well, now it's, Yeah, but when's the other shoe going to fall?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take time to lose that attitude as well. But you got to see it first.
Yeah.
You got to see it first. Our zone deal this week is for Vallis Pumpkin Patch.
Woo!
You can get 2 passes for just $29. That's a great deal. And these sold out in 15 seconds on Friday.
Yeah.
So when I say you got to be at 1620thezone.com before 9 a.m. on Friday, I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we will have Vallis Pumpkin Patch certificates to give away.
On the Grum?
On the Grum.
Awesome.
We were going to do need to get to 6. We might now just need to award it to people if they want to just release their Oklahoma hate.
I don't hate that idea either.
But we'll figure it out. But we will have passes to give away later this week. 1620 The Zone.